Hello, this video will explain how to set up your quote formats, client letters and contract conditions. SCIMS quoting has three standard quote format bodies, three different heading styles and a common footer style, and these elements can be mixed and matched to achieve a suitable presentation. From the main menu, click on the Maintenance and then Customize Quote and Graphics. The maintenance screen has 6 tabs to provide access to various sections to define the quote style, the report image formats, quote letters, term conditions. And once the quote formats, letters and conditions have been set up, you will only need to come back to this section occasionally to make changes if they're required, generally to the standard conditions. Click on the tab Default Report Options and then click the Alter button. Enlarge the screen if you need to by clicking on the bottom right hand corner and dragging. The quote format and quote header boxes will display the current format selections, and a representation of the quote will display in the graphic to the right. Essentially what we're doing here is selecting a header style that's suitable and a default body format. The different combinations will be displayed in the quote graphic. The header format should be set to the same for each of the body formats, although each body format could have a different header format if required. What we'll do next is select each of the 3 formats in turn and save a header format for each one. For the purpose of this example, I'm going to set them all to quote header format B. In the graphic you'll see a number of entries for text field 1, text field 2, 3 and 4 and a logo position. As you would see from the changing of the quote formats, these items are in different positions, and what we'll do next is insert information into these fields. When you've set up the formats for the body and the headers, it's a good idea to print copies of each of these because that'll help you in the next stage. And you can print them by clicking this button here. If we move on to the report text fields, we'll see the headings here for text field 1, text field 2, 3 and 4 and 5. And what I've done here is inserted in the company name and some phone numbers, and these will print on the quotes. This needs to be done for each of the 3 headers and footers. You can edit the text in these boxes by clicking on the Alter, and as you edit you'll see that you can change the fonts and set them to bold and change the size and change the font. You could also prepare this information in your word processor and copy and paste it into this section. After setting up the text boxes for each of the 3 formats and clicking Save on each one, click on the report image fields and we'll select our formats. There is provision for 4 images in the report image section, but at the moment we're only using 1. The image would normally be your company logo in bitmap or JPEG format. It's best if these images have been copied into the SCIMS folder, which is normally on drive C of your computer. The normal place for images would be in the default folder Data of the SCIMS directory. Click the Select button and navigate to the directory holding the logo and click on it, and then click Open. You may not be able to see Open in this demonstration. This will bring the logo back into the system, and if we save it, that's the logo that will print on the quotes and the letters. The next thing to have a look at is the exclusions. This tab is only of use if you have stationery that you would like to use for printing quotes on, and if not, then you can ignore this tab. If you want to use existing stationery that may have a logo and address pre-printed, you may be able to make one or more of the standard formats fit into the available area by excluding some of the images and text boxes from printing. Just tick the items you need to exclude and save. If excluding the items doesn't work, then please contact JCA Software to discuss your requirements. You can optionally print a personalised letter to your client to go out with the quote. If this is required, it can be done through the Quote Letters tab. The Client Letter drop-down box simply enables or disables printing a letter, and the header options work the same way as they do for the quotes, with an A, B and C option. The actual letter is held in a template file in an RTF format. This is a standard Windows Word function which is rich text format, and that means that you can add bold, change fonts, do italics and things like that in the letter. If we edit the current quote letter, in the Edit window, you can set up the letter, remembering that the header of this is already predefined with the logo and our address. So all we're really needing to put in here is perhaps who we're sending it to and some information. This is a very simple letter, and you can adjust this to suit your requirements. When the letter prints, the actual information will be substituted into these areas. So where it shows as %job end date %, the actual job date will print there. These are the available pieces of information, and if we wanted to show the estimator name underneath the letter here, you can either type it in or cut and paste from this area. If I right click there and click on copy and come back to here and right click and paste, then the name of the estimator will print when that letter prints. You may have to have a couple of goes at this and print it out to see how it works, how it looks, and to format it properly on the page. But once it's done, you can pretty much forget it. We can save this by clicking here or here on the file. If we've made changes, it'll ask us if we want to save them. There's text fields included to put in our address. Some of the logos and formats have text field too, this one doesn't, and you can select the company logo in a similar fashion. The final tab holds details of your standard terms and conditions that you issue to clients with your quotes. A sample is provided, but it is just a sample and should not be used as your default conditions. You can enter text directly in this window, but it's probably easier if you create the text in your word processor, format it, and then paste it into this section for printing. No matter what you've set up in here, it can all be changed. You can also make final adjustments to the printouts for each quote if required. You can change the format and decide whether to send the covering letter or not. Everything in this section is under your control. Thank you for listening.